So I'm 8. It's Multicultural Day at my small town Australian primary school, and I'm up in arms at my mum's enthusiasm to dress me as a gorgeous little Indian girl for my school's first ever Multicultural Day parade. Now, my school is really small, there's maybe 300 kids, and the notices and the flyers that talk about the day and the celebrations have been going home in our school bags for weeks. This is because it's 1985, and in 1985, this idea of multiculturalism is huge. And even though we're kids, we understand that. You know, the parents are excited and the teachers are excited, and there's this fervour around the day that feels really unique. You know, we've got the Easter Bonnet Parade, it's super fun, but the Easter Bonnet Parade happens every year. But this Multicultural Day Parade, this is something new. So alongside the flyers and the notices, there's a lot of talk in the classrooms, and all of this talk centres around the day's meaning. So, what is Multicultural Day about? Well, it's about different people, obviously, people that are different to us. And it's about us celebrating these people and the places from where they come. And how we're going to do this is by using clothing and flags to represent difference. So for this one day, we are going to dress and eat and parade as a mini United Nations around that grey school courtyard. Being kids, most of what we hear is that we're going to get the chance to dress up because Multicultural Day is all about costume. It feels like a party. There's just this unique sort of enthusiasm, and it's accelerated and enlivened by the fact that the teachers are allocating for our students which national dress we get to wear. Now, the reason for this is that my classroom, like most of my school, is filled with hopeful little white faces. Given that multiculturalism is about diversity and that being white in 1985 really just means being Australian, then it makes sense that the teachers would kind of get a hand in to widen the cultural circle, just to really capture the spirit of the day. So it's in the spirit of the day that the teachers will tell us what dress we get to wear, what flag we get to hold, and who we can pretend to be. Now, those decisions are made and we all start planning our costumes like crazy. So my best friend Samantha scores Holland, and she comes as the little Dutch girl with the clogs and the skirt and the black apron over a white Peter Pan shirt collar, and she's carrying a bunch of tulips. And then tall, skinny Rebecca comes as Scotland, and she's got the black beret and a red skivvy. Remember skivvies? A red skivvy and red tights and these polished black shoes and this cute little tartan skirt. And then chubby blonde Aaron gets Grease, and he comes in this kind of Tom Sawyer-esque shipwreck costume, which is totally random, but then he carries a plate of Greek salad, which is absolutely on message. For the Indigenous Australians, they choose a bunch of blonde-haired surf grommets, chiefly because they don't mind parading around with their shirts off. They wear sheepskin rugs around their board shorts and carry sticks for spears and smear their faces and chests with mud and dirt. Now, my other friend Kavala, she wins the battle to join me over in Team India. Now, my white-skinned, red-haired Australian mother is totally over the moon about this day. And what she's super excited about is creating an Indian costume for me to walk the parade. This totally makes sense because not only is Mum glamorous and beautiful and into makeup and jewellery and costume, but she's a fashion designer. And not only is she a fashion designer, but she's married to my dad, who's also a fashion designer. And not only is he a fashion designer, but he is 100% Indian. So Mum and Dad met in New Delhi in the 70s. Mum was of Welsh and English stock and Dad is Kashmiri. They were both fashion designers at the time and were just the archetype of the cross-cultural glamour couple. My mum was just lithe and tall, and she had this penchant for see-through clothing, and she always went braless, and she had these great red lips and paisley scarves around her head. And Dad was striking. He's very thin with this buoyant black afro, and if he wasn't in traditional kurta pajamas, he was rocking some kick-ass two-piece velvet suit. So this is my parents. They smoked hash, they knew the Jaggers, India was in, hippie was it, and they were at this world's acid-dropping epicenter. Exoticism clung to them like incense. By 1985, that had all toned down a little bit, but still our house in Torquay on top of a hill on the southwest coast of Victoria existed as a nation unto itself. We were different. Dad, being Indian, was this really loud and argumentative talker, and all of my friends were terrified to come over and stay because they always felt like he was angry. Our house smelt like spices. We ate really strong tasting food. We ate with our hands, off plates, off mats on the floor. And when Mum would make aloo and salan subsies, my brothers and I would fight over the marrow bones, because then we'd get to dig it out with these specially designed sticks, and all of my friends would just totally gross out. Pink Floyd blared from the stereo. There were these loud and frequent phone calls to India. Every wall was hung with these beautifully intricate tapestries or collages of Hindu deities. God and gurus were just part of our everyday conversation. And when my ummi, my Kashmiri grandmother, would come to stay for months on end, all of this Indianness would just ratchet up another notch. Now, at 8, I am totally comfortable with this. More than comfortable. I absolutely love it. My dad has this beautiful arrogance about Kashmiri Brahmin culture. It's ancient, it's sophisticated, it's special, and it's complex. And he passes that grace of self-belief on to me and to my 2 brothers. I'm his daughter. I'm his daughter, and I'm Indian. I'm Indian in my ordinary tracksuit pants. I am Indian in my skin, and I am Indian right down to my bones. So when my mum is getting so excited about designing this Indian costume for me, I find myself feeling really confused. And I know it's her enthusiasm that's the cause of all of my angst, because there is nothing else about the day that bothers me. I don't mind that other kids get their nationalities assigned and I have mine presumed, because I'm Indian. How else am I going to dress? I don't even mind that Multicultural Day is about difference, because it's clear to me that I'm different. I have my home life to illustrate that. And even if I didn't, I've really, at 8, I'm in love with this thing of me being in my Aussie life, in my Aussie school, with my Aussie friends, and just knowing that whole time that I hold inside myself the place where I feel that I belong. I guess what I mind is that when she talks about this costume, it's not that I feel like a doll, but that I feel like a mannequin. In Torquay, I wear tracksuit pants and surf shop t-shirts. And when I'm home in New Delhi, I wear much the same, although if family occasion calls for it, I can be convinced to throw on a cotton salwar kameez. So when she talks about this outfit, this fuchsia and silver lenga, which is that beautiful, long, flowing Indian skirt, and a matching fuchsia choli, and then a silver and navy blue dupatta, I just find myself having this sort of out-of-body experience. That clothing is totally foreign to me. It's foreign to my taste, it's foreign to my experience, and it's foreign to who I am. Who I am is Indian, and that outfit has no relation to me. What I failed to understand at the time is the relation that it has to her. So my mum wasn't born Indian, but if she had her time again, she would have been. The Gunjus and the Gumkars, Dad's relatives on both sides, they both came from very old and very distinguished Kashmiri families. And Mum, my Australian mum, she was the first non-Hindu Kashmiri Brahmin accepted through marriage to become a Gunju. And not only was she the first non-Hindu Kashmiri Brahmin, she was the first non-Indian. But you never would have known it. You know, obvious physical differences aside, she was made for India. She was my Ummi's favoured daughter-in-law. She cooked Kashmiri better than Dad. There were no real cultural adjustments. I mean, there must have been, but I couldn't see them from where I stood. All I could see was how easily she connected with India and with Indian family. And where she found that was in this spiritual connection to beauty and to fabric and to light and to softness. I wore that costume for the Multicultural Day Parade, and I felt so uncomfortable. It was so strange. I was highly self-conscious, and I felt like I was attracting attention to myself under false pretenses. And this is because I wasn't wearing a costume. Like, I wasn't pretending. I wasn't a benign cultural cliche. I was wearing the idea of my mother's love for me. That was how she saw me. Golden and glittery and exotic. And it was this really pure and simple and beautiful interpretation, but I just wasn't comfortable with it. You know, even at 8, I have too much complexity. You know, I have too much of my dad's beautiful arrogance. I have just too much self-belief to be satisfied with her softness. It wasn't how I wanted her to love me. Being 8, what I didn't understand at the time was what it would have meant to her if I had have let her. Difference isn't about flags. Difference is about people. Difference is about family. Learning to accept the differences of the people closest to me has been the hardest cultural adjustment I've ever had to make. I've learnt a lot of myself in the process. And because of that, I can understand at 40 what I couldn't at 8. And that is that just because I'm not like her, that I don't love like her, it can't be automatically assumed that she has to be like me. And that nuance, understanding that nuance has been so important. Not because it stops the other from experiencing my prejudice, but because it stops me from having to feel it. I love you, Mum. Thanks.